Hello and welcome to this little video where I'm going to be talking through Camunda's newest AI orchestration patterns, specifically how to build an AI agent with BPMN and how Camunda's paradigm kind of works. It's pretty cool, it's pretty exciting. It's a very, very new way of understanding and building AI agents. And so first of all, let's lay the groundwork for exactly what we're trying to build here. Every AI agent essentially follows the same sort of pattern, which is it requires some sort of idea of what it's for, so some sort of system prompt defining what the agent is intended for. It then needs a prompt to tell it to accomplish a specific task within that scope, and then finally it needs a set of tools that it can use to accomplish that goal. And almost all of the AI agents that you will build will tend to follow the parameters of going in somewhere, adding all this stuff together, and then in the end you get this big box of stuff that is an agent that can do this for you. What we're going to show here is sort of a different way of thinking about that agent. The agent we're going to build is not a black box. It's built in BPMN and has a huge amount of benefits to that. I'm going to talk about those. So it's going to incorporate those three factors, and I will talk about them and how they're implemented. But it's also going to add a whole bunch of new things to how you understand AI agents. It's going to be way easier to maintain, completely visual and completely composable. You don't build a one-off agent and then have to deal with the consequences of whatever decisions you made initially in design time. These things are really, really good at being constantly improved, which is important considering everything about AI right now is changing all the time, and you want to be able to make sure you can adapt to that. So with that said, I'm going to start off by explaining the basic paradigm. Then I'm going to explain how things are built, quite a quick overview of how we build things, and then mostly I'll talk you through the demo of a running relatively complex AI agent process. So let's get started. Right now I'm in the Camunda modeler where I have what looks like a pretty complicated thing. That's because it is a very complicated thing. I'm going to talk through this in terms of what I talked about a few seconds ago, which is about the basic paradigm of any AI agent, right? So let's first of all focus on the brain of this AI agent. I talked about we need an agent that has some kind of sort of control, some kind of understanding of what it's for, and some kind of understanding of that it's supposed to accomplish a goal. And this is what this task is. So this task is essentially has been given a definition of what it's for. It's connected to an LLM to help it understand how to process information. It's given some context, which actually in this case, the context, the question comes from an email that gets sent. It then arrives here. So the request comes in, it knows what it's for and what it's trying to accomplish. And here is the new bit that's pretty cool. In here is essentially its toolbox. And it's important to realize that these two things are actually very, very lightly coupled. The way this works is this task is told about this sub-process here. And it's told, okay, here are the tools you have, and you can go ahead and use those as you see fit. Now, the reason that's quite nice is because they're decoupled, it means you can add more tools as you see fit, or you could change the LLM. You can change both independently. You don't need to sort of tell it, you don't need to define it originally and deploy it and then change everything if you need to update something again. They become independent, which I think is really, really cool because funnily enough, you might want to change the LLM relatively frequently. According to a recent paper, LLMs are getting twice as powerful every 7 months. So you're going to want to maybe add some new stuff. And you can do that without affecting the tools. The process will never really change. The ability of the AI to do better will change. So that's the first thing to think about. This thing here is the brain. And then this is going to decide what comes in and what happens next. And then down here, these are the tools. Let me just talk through these a little bit. This is an ad hoc sub-process. In BPMN, this is a way of creating dynamic structures within what is a notation primarily concerned with completely deterministic modeling. This is actually really powerful because this can blend both. So right now you see I've actually added these little these little groupings around here to show what the different tools are capable of. And so we have here, we can talk to the customer. We can do a quick rules check. This is a little rules engine that we have, BPMN, that can do a quick check to see if we can auto reject a candidate, let's say, from this request. We also have ask a specialist, bringing humans into the loop here. And we have checking knowledge base to find out more information if we need more context. And then we also have some stuff down here that's kind of interesting, which is we have essentially access to another system using RPA. And that's kind of what this system is. So when we start this process, it'll arrive here. It's aware of what it can accomplish. It has a list of things. In this case, it is dealing with a customer asking a question about a loan of some kind. It's a loan agent helper, and it has a bunch of ways of helping that customer find out the information they're looking for. So next, I'm going to talk a little bit about how this is executed, and then immediately jump into running this and seeing how it works in production. I'm going to move now from our modeler, which you can currently see where I could update or change or check out the execution semantics of all the symbols, into Operate. Operate is the tool we use in order to check out what's going on in a running in production system. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start an email. And the way this process begins is it begins with an email. And you can see here, there's a little email, having a good time. Email comes in. It will then do a really cool thing. It'll then check for previous conversations using a RAG connector there. This is going to be able to look at any previous conversations we've had with this customer to give the AI more context about how to deal with the request. It does this a few times. It even, you can see here, saves answers from a specialist into a user base. So there's a lot of data enriching as we go along. So just so you know that I have ran this quite a few times before, so it does know who I am, which is interesting and kind of frightening. And also, it's completely non-deterministic. All the things that happen will be decided, meaning that this demo is something I'm just going to talk through. Whatever the AI agent decides to do, I guess I'll explain that. And we're going to find out together what this demo has in store for us. So I'm going to scroll back out. I'm going to open up this little email account here, and I'm going to say loan info request. I'm going to say, hi, I'm Niall. I would like to, let's say, update my loan. I got a bike a while ago and I want another one. Can I get the same loan again? Okay, and I'm going to send that. Boop. So the way that works is that we have a listener here that's listening for an email to come in to a specific account. And once that email comes in, it'll trigger an instance. It'll happen quite quickly. So as soon as the email, it polls, I think, every 10 seconds or so. And then once the email comes in, it then starts and it gets the information. It'll quite quickly run to the handler there. So yeah, there it is. We see it's already run there. So we see there's our instance. So let's click onto it and let's see what's going to happen. So right now we can see that right now it's arrived here. It's now deciding, it's getting all that information. It has its context, its definition, it has the LLM, and it's looking at its tool set, and it's going to decide exactly what to do. Usually it tries to query the knowledge base if it doesn't already have a lot of information about this request, if it's a kind of a new request. And you can see it's doing that right now. So you can see that it's decided to go down here. We can see from the little one up here that it's executed that. And here's a cool thing. It goes back around. So now it's executing this for a second time. It then has gone straight to ask a loan expert. So for whatever reason, it's decided that it can't fulfill this particular request. So what does the loan expert do? Well, for that, I'm going to go here to our front end. And this is a very basic front end that shows us that Niall P. Deehan, which is my name, is requesting a second bike. while his loan already has this amount. This is really cool because, first of all, it realized, I just said I'm Niall. It was able to realize who I am as a customer. It was able to get the information about the current loan that I have, and including the fact I have insurance, which is good to know. I live in Berlin, so insurance is important. And they're asking if I'm eligible for another bike loan. So there's a few options I have here, and you can see that from here. You can see that I can just take control of this case. And you can see that if I do, it'll break out of the AI agent's control, and then I'll end up having full control up here and be able to handle it as a human. That's fine. Or I can say, here's some update, you go ahead, and I can choose to save the answer I give to the knowledge base for future use or not. So let's go back to task list, and let's say I'm going to assign this to me, and I'm going to say, this seems okay. Can you just send Niall a link to the relevant documents and say something fun about how he's been enjoying the bike. This is not relevant for a knowledge base, so I'm going to click no on this, and I'm going to spin that along. So if I go back to here, we should see that this is going to trundle along. It skipped the save to knowledge base things. I don't actually need that, which is deterministic within non-deterministic stuff. Then it's going to go here. Again, we have our handle customer request for the third time. So now it's got a lot of information. And what are we going to do? Well, we have just run an RPA bot. I'll explain why in a second. But right now, this is doing some stuff. It's creating a QR code on my machine locally. Good stuff. It's supposed to. So because it's down here, it's implementing, I've basically implemented a little RPA thing that if you give it a link, it'll generate a QR code. Now, why is it doing that? I'll explain that shortly. But now it's going to send an email again. It's created that QR code, and I should expect a response. So I'm going to go here and just leave this open up. And in a few seconds, I should get an email back from my agent explaining whatever it is. Oh, there it is. Okay, cool. So let's open up this up. It says, Dear Niall, thank you for your interest, blah, 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 blah. There we go. To proceed, you can scan the QR code below for access to our security portal, and you see it's attached to an image. So what it actually did there was it ran an RPA bot that created a QR code. It then put that into the process and then emailed that. And that's interesting because I didn't, as an expert, the loan expert didn't tell the AI agent, go make a QR code. Instead, I told the agent some company policies. One of them was, we don't send links directly. We don't send URLs in emails. We only send QR codes. And so it just knew then, oh, I want to send a link, so I'll just trigger that. So now what's happened is we've continued, and this is one of my favorite things. We're essentially finished now. We've done our thing. We saved the customer interaction to long-term memory, so we can get that back later. We did a really important thing here. We ran a judge. A judge looked at how the AI agent handled this case and created a feedback loop. And sometimes that works really well, but in this case, it needs review. I don't know why. Let's find out. If I go here, you'll see that the final review has said to me that the agent was suboptimal. And failure to verify the company. So we see here the failure to current financial situation, premature approval, lacks proper loan. So the agent did not do a great job here, but we caught it. Hey, look at that. And then we also have the chain of thought as to what the agent, why we think exactly why it failed. And so now as a human, I can then take that over and undo, or at the very least, try to correct that. And that is our AI agent in all its glory. The key components here to remember are that all of this is independently versioned, and also it's very, very easy to visualize exactly what happened. But that's not all. As well as being easy to visualize on let's say the level that a admin would need to look at, this particular level, it's also really easy to visualize for people who are wondering, has the very important question, is adding AI to our process helping, right? So what I can do is I can show you this. This is a report from Optimize, our front-end application that takes information from our engine, and then it visualizes it for users. So let's click on the first one here. So what this one's doing is it is showing the count, how often each request was triggered. So we see here that 67 times we've handled different requests, and only 3 times we've needed to add a human to this. We can also see how often we've queried the knowledge base. We can see how often an expert was asked, and this is a clear way of being able to verify how often have we been able to make sure that work that is not relevant for individual specialists is not dumped on them. So I think that's quite cool. And as well as that, we can go back to the dashboard and see other sort of cool stuff. Like here we see how often full control has been taken. We see 93% of the time it has not been taken, 13 it has. And then let's see what this is talking about. So this is this is how long it takes. Very, very handy. You'll see here the thing that takes the longest apparently is reviewing the case. This takes on average about a minute. This takes on average about an hour. This is 45 minutes, supposed to be something broken there. And we usually wait about 2 hours to get a response. It takes a couple of milliseconds to send the email, and so on and so forth. Again, really useful for validating whether the tools work. So I hope that helped you understand. The cool thing is a more simplified version of this model is available to check out of our marketplace, so you can get started and check this out immediately. There's also an even more simplified version here on GitHub, which shows the basic paradigm of the agent and how it connects with tools correctly. So you can use this if you want to sort of get an idea of that. So do that. Any links should be available around this video somewhere, so go find those. And thank you for listening. Hope it was entertaining. Bye-bye.